Right, we're going to take you straight back to that interview as we unpack the DA's woes with political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou. So 9 members of council axed. Dr. Ndou, do you think this is a targeted move by the ANC to remove the remaining members of those coalition heads in Gauteng?
Good evening, Analyst. Good evening to all. Not surprised at all. Due to the nature of the governance system with these coalitions, with the change of political leadership, one would also expect the change of personnel in other different segments of governance. It has actually started with the speaker. It went to the mayor, and of course, few hours ago, there was the removal of the chief whip and the committee chairpersons. And I think this is a strategy that is being used by those that are in power now to say, we were also not included in the previous coalition arrangement, and that is why we also have to restructure the governance system. And of course, those that are in power would actually want to maximize their power and authority, restructure the governance in a manner that is actually going to suit them. Whether that is going to be beneficial to the citizens or their constituencies is something that we still have to wait and see whether it's actually going to materialize and bring fruits at the end of the day.
Of course, Dr. Ndou, we know that all this is happening while the judge still has to rule on the matter with Mpho Phalatse and whether her removal was in fact legal. If the judge does rule in favor of former Mayor Mpho Phalatse, all decisions made since her removal will be reversed. So what do you think? What spin does that put on this move? Could that also be sort of political posturing on the part of the ANC as they're in power now to sort of say, well, hang on, this is what we do when we get the chance?
It's going to have very serious implications. Firstly, those that are in power now, as in the ANC, cannot just sit down and fold their arms and say, there is a court case going on. They have been given the responsibility to ensure that the city is functioning and ensure that the structures are in place. And at the end of the day, citizens have to get what they actually deserve. If Mpho Phalatse is brought back, obviously everything that has been done might also be changed and they reverse back to what has been in place. But equally, what I see is that there appears to be a plan to say that even if she comes back, the motion can be reintroduced again, and then she gets removed from office again. What would that mean to the governance of the city of Johannesburg? Remember, we had the elections just last year in October. The mayor has been removed. We've got a new government or a new personnel. If the current leadership is then removed and Mpho Phalatse comes back as the mayor, it will also mean the restructuring of the governance system in Johannesburg. And that talks to elected representatives not having sufficient time to focus on their mandate, but focusing on coalitions and focusing on the rearrangement of government. And as all these things are unfolding, time is actually moving and they will not be able to implement their own plans, which means that at the end of the day, ordinary citizens, the voters, are going to be the victims of everything that is happening in the city of Johannesburg.
Well, we've seen it time and time again as this jostling for position ultimately, as you say, leaves citizens in the lurch. Service delivery is left behind, implementation of critical plans for advancement, infrastructure improvements, all that is left in the wake of this revolving door political policy where constantly we see new people in positions of power in key metros across the country. Ultimately, what do you think that leaves the voter with when next they have the opportunity to make important decisions? Because surely if their decisions of the past mean nothing going forward, then more and more people are likely to say, well, if my voice doesn't count, I'm just not going to use it.
Well, the unfortunate part is that coalitions are actually imposed on the political parties by the voters. But what is actually unfolding in the metros in South Africa, it should also be seen as an opportunity for South Africans to learn. There are a number of coalitions in the South African local government system which are actually functioning very, very well. The unfortunate part is that we don't see that happening with the metros. And that then gives us an opportunity to develop better ways, better strategies of managing coalitions in these metros. What will therefore mean? It would mean that we must be able to develop clear guidelines on how coalitions are supposed to be managed. We must actually be able to have transparency on the formations of these coalitions so that ordinary citizens are able to point a finger on a coalition partner who has become problematic in the coalition. Political parties should be able to go to their voters and say, you have put us in this situation, give us proposals on what we are supposed to do, or this is the plan that we have, so that in whatever they do, it's actually done in a very transparent manner. So for us as ordinary citizens, this is the period for learning. And of course, we must be able to say, out of a coalition that started in 2016 in the metros, that never worked. We must be able to say, let's develop something so that coalitions are able to work in South Africa. We cannot afford to have a situation where we keep on watching politicians fighting for positions on a regular basis and not coming up with solutions to prevent this instability and fighting over positions. Because at the end of the day, there are challenges that are facing South Africa, and these people are there to ensure that these challenges are dealt with and South Africa becomes a better place to live.
Absolutely, especially given that coalitions are likely to be dominant in our political landscape going forward. Thank you so much for your insights. That's political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou.